Hey, what's up you guys? It's IAmTheLionRider, and today we are actually going to be checking out a brand new zoo game called Let's Build a Zoo. So today we actually got the reveal trailer dropped, and it actually shows off quite a bit of the new gameplay. So the first thing that you might notice is this is a little different than your usual zoo game that we might cover on this channel, like Planet Zoo or Prehistoric Kingdom. Even Simply Zoo or something, because this game is actually a 2D game. So it is a zoo building sim, so it is no different than Simply Zoo or Planet Zoo or Zoo Tycoon, that sort of thing. But the big thing is this is addressing a huge, I guess, issue. It's not really an issue, but a concern that a lot of people have about zoo games, and that is animals. So a game like Planet Zoo or Zoo Tycoon or Simply Zoo is always criticized because, oh, you never have enough animals. There's never enough animals to satiate the demand. People want thousands of animals in any zoo game, and that's just unrealistic. However, this zoo game gets around that kind of cleverly with the art style. So this is kind of a developer standpoint, but if we take a look, as you see, all of the animals are 2D sprites, so that means that they're just pixel art, essentially. So it's basically just a really low-res drawing, and because of the way that they've animated it, so this is actually procedural animation, so they can actually just squash and stretch a static image, so a basic 2D image, and it kind of gives the illusion that it's moving even though they didn't really animate it. And since they did this for all of the animals, they're able to just kind of crank out a ton of animals. And we actually see that on their Steam page. They say that we have actually 500 unique animals. So 500 different species that are in real life. So these are things like your African elephant, reticulated giraffe, lion, tiger, etc. that are all going to be in the game. And actually in the trailer we can actually see kind of some pretty unique animals, like in their bear section that they showcase. You can actually see we got stuff like the spectacled bear, the sun bear, and then we also had stuff like red river hogs and wild boar and stuff in their pig section. You got lion mane macaques and howler monkeys. A lot of different animals that are probably not as common in a normal zoo game just because they're kind of niche. But if you're looking for niche animals, this might be the game for you because there is a lot. So, like I said, there are 500 different animals currently available with over 300,000 animal combinations. So, if we jump over to the Steam page, where I am right now, we should probably kind of address one of the big things about the game. So, let's just kind of address what their About the Game section says. So they start out by saying, it's time to build a zoo, let out your wild side and create your own animal empire with this cute, expansive management sim. Import and breed rare creatures, hire the right staff, keep your visitors happy, and deal with plenty of weird and wonderful events. Then try your hand at DNA splicing and stitch together over 300,000 different animal combinations, ranging from the majestic giraffephant to the peaceful pandowl. So, yeah, so this is going to be a thing that is either going to make or break the game for a lot of people. I know a lot of people are going to immediately look at this and be like, they're not taking this game seriously. I wanted a realistic zoo sim. This is not realistic at all. You have a monkey, I don't know, trampoline that's breaking my immersion. But what I will say is I like that about this game. It gives the kind of choice to the player of how they want to play the game. Because as I've said, like 500 different animals and is a ton, probably the most that's ever been in any type of zoo game, regardless of complexity. And so that is going to really be a big draw if you're just someone who just likes more animals. And obviously, like games like Zoo Tycoon over the years had mods that basically added any animal you could possibly want. But for a game that's just kind of out the gate packaged, it's pretty good. Like you can just quickly throw together this stuff. Now, what I will say, though, is, like, even the DNA splicing, you don't even have to play the game like that. If you want to make just a realistic zoo game, if we look at some of these images, you can definitely do that. You don't have to go crazy. There's a ton of different, you know, items that you can use to decorate your zoo. A bunch of tree items, different gift shops and benches, different types of pathing. And for that reason, I think that's actually going to be a major plus of the game, is the simplicity. So I know a few months ago we discussed Simply Zoo as an example, and while Simply Zoo's goal is to do essentially, you know, what Zoo Tycoon 1 did, but make it simple, in a weird way, I think this is even simpler. So this is actually a much more user-friendly version of a simple zoo game. So it's very much drag and drop different types of pieces, and then here's a tree, here's another tree, and then here's an animal. And unlike Simply Zoo, you actually have a ton of animals to use. So if you're someone who likes animals, but also likes that kind of simple Simply Zoo style of gameplay, this might actually be the game for you. And I actually really think that's a cool idea. Because, I mean, some people think that games like Planet Zoo are way too complex. And I actually do, like, you know, agree to some extent. Because if you're not a fan of building, yeah, Planet Zoo can be somewhat overwhelming. There's a lot of different intricate systems and stuff. And some people just wanted a game that is a lot more akin to Zoo Tycoon 1. And so this is very much in that spirit. A little phone game simmy, I'm not going to lie, you know, in some regards. But you definitely have a lot of variety here. So, as you can see, there's walruses and seals and penguins out the box, so you don't have to worry about that. You actually have this kind of cute little art style for the map. It's kind of really nice. And from what I can tell, they actually have a lot of the basic things that some of the other games that I listed before, frankly, were missing. So, as an example, they actually address stuff like you can have mascots in this game. So that was a thing that was in Zoo Tycoon. Not really prevalent in a lot of modern zoo games, so that's kind of cool. Similarly, what I kind of like is they kind of have this dark twist to the end of their trailer. If we actually look, they kind of showcase this off, which is interesting. So they kind of address it in their gameplay footage that we're going to take a look at in a second. But I don't know, like the fact that there's an alligator purse and like a chicken shop and stuff and a pork, I think what they're kind of addressing is, if you would like, you can kind of make an animal, like a puppy mill, that is functional in this game. So I know in Planet Zoo or something, we play games, like in franchise mode, it was kind of a joke, like, oh my god, we're making puppy mills because you're just mass breeding albino, like, gorillas or something for that, like, conservation credit. But in this game, it's kind of like, yeah, you know what, we're going to lean into that a little bit. If you want, you can make an alligator farm and just crank out alligator purses, or kind of, you know, I'm sure they'll probably do the same thing. I don't want to, like, you know, go too into, you know, what I definitely think will be in the game. But I think it might be safe to say they could have maybe an ivory, you know, shop or something of that nature. You know, just kind of leaning into some of the darker elements of the, you know, animal world, essentially. And so I think that is kind of an interesting spin. I don't think it's necessarily, you know, maybe the nicest message that a lot of people want to hear. People want to usually just, you know, hear like, oh my god, this is such a nice aspect. But you know what? The choice is there. And I kind of appreciate that, because much like how very early into Planet Zoo's development, a lot of us were scared that we weren't going to see stuff like animal attacks and stuff, because they were seemingly hiding that from the players. You do sometimes have we all have a little, like, you know, sadistic side to us and want to see some of that crazier stuff. So in a weird way, I kind of like it that it gives you that option. And like I said, it's an option. So it's definitely there if you want it, but it's also not required. And I think that's really, really cool. So let's just jump into the gameplay. So we start out with the early footage, and they're just kind of going around the zoo. And you can see a lot of the animals. So, like I said, you have different bunnies, different types of birds. You have skunks and beavers and hedgehogs, echidnas, capybara. So, a lot of these weird animals that you normally wouldn't get. Black and white-ruffed lemurs, different types of marmosets. You got some hyenas and aardwolves, different types of ostrich and emus, armadillos. A lot of animals. All the different types of porcupines. That's interesting. So you have African crested, prehensile-tailed porcupines. You have just a ton of different options. And what's interesting is if we go ahead and look at even something like the giraffes, they actually did some of the subspecies. So you can see like Maasai giraffe, or reticulated Angolan, Nubian. And so that's kind of really interesting. And, you know, if you wanted to have all your animals, you can basically get that in this game. And they even address here, even animals like tigers that really don't have subspecies per se. I know some people want to say stuff like, you know, there's, you know, Siberian and Bengal and stuff are different. More known, it's pretty common to just say there's the mainland tiger. But they do have skins. So regardless if it's just a tiger, they still have skins so that you can kind of, you know, be like, oh yeah, that is a golden tabby tiger or white tiger, you know, Siberian or something. That is kind of cool. So let's just skip ahead to how you actually start building in this game. And they kind of draw out boxes, essentially. So it's very similar to a 2D version of Simply Zoo, like I said. So you draw out your boxes, you place in your animals. In this case, they actually kind of took a thing from another zoo game, Zooconomy. You kind of have to use real-world zoos and stuff, which is kind of interesting. I hope they kind of, like... I'd love it if a zoo game did this, where you just flood the map with real-world zoos. Like, every zoo just gets mentioned by name or something. At least big public zoos, you know, Bronx Zoo, San Diego, Chester, etc. That'd be kind of cool if they could do that. And that's where you get your animals from, so you can just kind of adopt them there, and then past that, it's, again, very similar to just kind of drawing with tiles. You just kind of draw in what you want. You can select a bunch of different props. I'll just skip ahead in the footage a little bit. But yeah, you could definitely just select different types of gift shops and vending machine stands and different things of that nature, and that's kind of a really interesting thing. So yeah, I mean, for a smallish game, in my opinion, this is going to be a really interesting one. I know it's not going to, you know, keep the attention of a lot of people, but it definitely is something that is going to scratch that itch that a lot of people have been complaining about, frankly, about a lot of modern games. It's unrealistic to expect a game like Planet Zoo to have 500 realistic, unique animals. That's just impractical. As much as they can get away with, you know, doing custom or, you know, sharing animations between different rigs and stuff of that nature, at the end of the day, you still have to model and research all of those animals, make sure that they're all high quality. And so by making pixel art, you're literally able to get an indie dev like this studio, which I don't even know if I mentioned that. But it's made by Spring Loaded, who is the developer. They've made a couple of other pixel art games that are coming out. And it's being published by No More Robots, which if you look at their Steam page, they've published quite a few games. Some of them are actually on sale right now. So, pretty reputable company and stuff that's publishing the game. And it looks really good. Like, again, for what it is a good game. And I'm kind of glad we're finally getting something like this, because for a while, we just had the big budget AAA game in the form of Planet Zoo. I know a lot of people want to say Frontier isn't AAA. It's basically a AAA company at this point. It's a multi-thousand employee game company. So we got that big budget game, but you know, sometimes these smaller games, this one, Simply Zoo, Zooconomy, are kind of nice, and I kind of appreciate that. Because yeah, if you wanted a game with every type of animal you want, different types of weird mongoose or antelope, this is the game for you, and I think that's kind of really nice. Because weirdly, in an odd way, you could even do stuff like I do for Roger Williams with Planet Zoo in this game. So you could do a recreation of a zoo. It would just be a lot more dumbed down. So you wouldn't be able to go into the hyper fixation version of like build, but you could definitely recreate a zoo using this game. Arguably better in some regards, because you're able to just have all of the animals you could possibly want in the base game. So yeah, so that basically kind of covers at least all of the fundamentals of the game. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. If there's many more updates, I will definitely keep you guys posted on it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys check out the game yourself, add it to your Steam wish list. They're actually looking for people to join in their beta and join their Discord, so I'll definitely have those links in the description. But past that, thank you all for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.